you're good. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Supervisors meeting. Would you please all stand for the pledge?
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you to whoever moved that away from the floor.
So you could see it.
By the way, I was told that the light bulbs are out for the flag. Thank you all.
One way or the other.
Okay, a couple of announcements. We did have an executive session on October 9th. The Board of Supervisors met in executive to discuss matters of personnel, in specific, the Chief of Police recruitment process and non-uniform collective bargaining agreement negotiations. This evening's meeting is being recorded for rebroadcast, so everyone is aware. And I also just want to take a moment to thank those who came out for the Sustainability Summit, which we did hold last Wednesday, and it was a really good start to a conversation, and won't be the last time. So those of you here could tell everybody that it's productive, and hopefully we can keep that momentum going. Let's move on to monthly reports. There we have on the reports, Police Department, Fire Company and EMS, Fire Department, Public Works Department, Building and Zoning Department, and the library. And they all are up online. We have Sergeant Russell is here to give his in person.
Hello, I have the West Vincent Township Police Department report for September 2025. For training, we had tourniquet refresher and AED. For totals, we have 142 calls for service, 3 crimes investigated, 1 arrest for unlawful dissemination of intimate images and harassment, 40 traffic stops, and 8 accidents investigated.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Do you have anyone else who wanted to give their report in person? Anyone else want to give a report in person? It's okay if you don't. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Jeff Combs, Deputy Chief at Lois Corner. Just real quickly for West Vincent Township for the month of September, we had 3 auto accidents, 5 automatic alarms. We had 1 accident with entrapment. We had 1 assist EMS call. We had 22 ambulance calls and 1 fire police call. Our total calls for West Vincent were 33. Our total time in service was 13 hours and 12 minutes. And our total man hours was 33 hours and 18 minutes. We did handle also 14 calls in Upper Euclid, 7 in East Nantmeal, and 5 for mutual aid. Total of 6 responders per call. And we had a total of 2 QRS responders for EMS incidents. And our total training hours were 136. Real quickly, I just wanted to thank the board for the consideration tonight for the Act 172 volunteer fire and EMS credit. We do have some responders that run with Lois Corner that live in West Vincent. And I know it has not been adopted yet, but we just wanted to say thank you for consideration for time on that. That's all I have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that's fine. You can let the statements speak for themselves. Can we get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we approve the monthly reports for September 2025 as presented. Can we move on to public comment? Does anyone have any comments on the agenda items? We do have the budget on. I know John's going to want to talk about that. There's questions about the solar panels. That's another thing. And then there's 2 public hearings tonight as well that could be of interest. Any questions are welcome.
You ready?
Here you go.
John, 1634 Hilltop Road, Birchlandville. Okay, first on the financial report, which I think should be public, but it's not. In the month of September, there was $233,000 of net income.
What do you mean it's not public?
Right?
I'm sorry, what do you mean it's not public?
Not, what may pronounce it, I meant it not publicly done at the meeting. It's not, it used to be a financial report given and there's no longer a financial report given.
Because we don't have one sitting out here to hand out, is that what you're asking for?
Okay, yeah, it's here to hang out.
No, I'd be happy to provide, I'm just trying to find out what you're looking.
Oh, I have it. I'm sorry,
Because we can certainly do that, if not, I'm just meeting for the next meeting that we.
I don't know. I mean, did people think we've made 233,000 in net income? You want to look it up? You can find it. It's not easy to find, and then understand what's, then put it in a context.
It's online. Yeah, it's online.
Year to date, our net income is $1,000,003 in the general fund, and then for all funds, we have 391,000, and year to date in all the funds we have net income of 2 million. Now, the budget has net income of $83 compared. So in 2024, per the audit, the general fund had an $870,000 net income. In 2025, it's going to be $1,500,000. And so now the budget says the income is going to be $83. It just doesn't seem like that is all fits together. Some of the issues there, the revenue that they say was in 2023 was 5 million. And now we're down 4.8 million. It just doesn't seem like the revenue is realistic. And I think that's unfortunate. I mean, I think the revenue, there's no reason for it to go down. And if it's not taken into account, you aren't budgeting or forecasting the services that the taxpayers are entitled to. Okay, and then also in the budget, there's one section called capital funds, which capital roads, capital projects, all those are ignored. And so it's just harder to know what's planned in all these capital funds. If you just want to put a summary number in there, I mean, you could add in the general fund too, but I think it ought to be broken out. I think it's important. And some of the things in there, like you couldn't tell this, nobody could tell this looking at it until I sit down with my adding machine. What is the interest in these funds is budgeted 87,000. In 2025, we're already at 122,000, way over that. So we'll probably have 150,000 this year, and to budget 87 next year, that's way more conservative than I think budgeting should be. And then a couple of questions here. The fire company, we're now budgeting like 470,000, 300,000, 200,000 higher than prior years. Is there a reason for that?
We're not giving them what they're asking for, but we're raising it because they need more money, they need more funding.
Yeah, but to double it or triple, I mean, we didn't used to give them that much, and we give them a lot now.
Well, I don't think that was really supporting our residents' needs, that we weren't giving them enough money and they are having trouble sustaining themselves.
Okay.
I'm sure we can have someone talk about that.
Then I guess one other thing, the debt service shows a minus number. A credit in the budget shows debt service as being minus somewhere. The audit, 2024 audit, had projected 71,000 for 2026. And then gets to be a negative number sometimes. But it just seems to have negative interest, after all these years is strange. Okay,
You want to make some comments on the budget or you want?
Well, we can start with 2024. In 2024, the receipts included $312,000 worth of grants for capital projects. Those dollars should not be deposited into a general fund, but a capital fund. It also includes $280,000 in interfund transfers into the general fund. So now we have almost $600,000 in receipts booked in 2024 that should not have been booked into the general fund. With regards to debt service, the township has 3 borrowings, 2 for open space and 1 for capital equipment, public works equipment. For years, for reasons unknown, that debt service was drawn out of the general fund. We have an open space fund. That's where the debt payments, the debt service and interest on the debt should be paid. And we also have a capital fund, and that's where the third borrowing should be paid. So our finance director made those adjustments, and that's why you see a negative number there.
okay, but the interest paid, first off, there was a mortgage on this property. And so it came out of the general fund, and that was one of the big interest expense.
There was never a mortgage on this property.
Pardon?
There was never a mortgage on this property.
Wasn't like 2.7 million at one time?
No,
Was that the building cost, maybe?
but
And then you said there's there are
Two open
loans,
space,
borrowings in the open space.
2 open space loans.
Yeah, well, the one 500 got moved, 500,000 got moved out. I think there's only one left now.
There are 2. The 500,000 was placed for a time in the open space fund for the equipment, which wasn't right. So that had to be moved. And the 2 open space had to be moved from the general to open space. So they were being paid out of the wrong funds. That's been corrected.
Okay,
We're pretty conservative with our numbers. I agree with you on that. But when I budget tax dollars, I'm conservative that way.
okay.
With regards to interest, I understand your point. But here's what's driving the lower number. Next year, out of the capital fund, we will be funding a $2.4 million bridge replacement. And we're not going to get those funds, but only on a reimbursed basis later in the year. So the balance in the capital fund is going to plummet. And I think interest rates are going to tick down a little bit too, which is why we're down to 87,000. In addition to the $2.4 million bridge, we also have about $1.5 million worth of road work right now in the capital fund. So that fund you're going to see that fund balance drop.
Can you get
and I can't-
refund for bridge expenses as they're incurred?
I'm sorry?
Can you get refunded for bridge expenses as they're incurred?
I have to pay for the bridge as the work progresses. And
Yeah.
having gone after reimbursements from the state, as long as I have, those things don't happen quickly.
We have a match too.
We have a 20% match too, so we're only gonna get $1.9 million back on that project. We're gonna pick up the balance of that project. I mean,
1.9 out of,
The grant funds 80% of that bridge, and it's on a reimbursement basis. And those reimbursement payments, again, they're not instant. I just don't pick up the phone and say, okay, I paid the contractor 500,000. Can you give me my 500? It doesn't work like that. We're going to see that fund balance drop next year a lot. That's why the interest is so much lower.
okay. Do you know anything more about the fire company? Is that why that changed so much?
Sure.
But-
So we have 3 fire companies and 2 ambulance companies that service the township. This year to date, we've only given to 1. And as you know, municipality, the township at day's end is responsible for emergency services. Even if we're covered by the volunteer fire company and ambulance companies at day's end, right? If they're no longer around, we have to fund that service. So what municipalities are doing now more than ever before, especially in this part of Pennsylvania, where it's very hard to find volunteers, is to provide those folks with a little bit more money, because the thinking is you don't want paid fire and paid ambulance.
because that's a financial game changer. So if you can contribute a little bit more to those companies, you're going to keep that volunteer model viable for as long as practical. So I see it not as just giving folks more money, but it's a very good investment in a model that's saving the taxpayers millions of dollars a year.
And I don't have it in front of me what the ask was from the different.
Yeah, so year
groups, but
to date, we've contributed $146,000 to one of those providers. The request was for $599,000. And we're providing in this budget $433,000.
so we have a shortfall to what they need, and this is just a growing problem, as you know, everyone seems to be aware, but no, we're trying not to add any new taxes. We're doing the best that we can.
Okay.
Thank you.
There'd be light.
Do you need a light source?
I might be all right. I just want to reiterate what's said at pretty much every township meeting, how awkward it is that we have to make all these comments at the beginning of the meeting rather than when we're actually on the topic. But I'm also looking at the budget. First of all, I think there's a mistake that your January 1st balances, it says 2026. I think you mean 2025 there. But there are so many dramatic changes at Jamie McVicker, Black Horse Road. So many dramatic, tripling, quadrupling, 6 times as much in and out of some of these lines, many of the lines that I hope that we'll go down them one at a time, either tonight or at a special meeting or at a what do you call the first meeting of the month when it's a working sessions workshop meeting. But to the fire point, the fire discussion, an increase of 300,000 is not a little bit more, Tommy. That's and they've requested those amounts in the past and we haven't done it. To suddenly go from 100 and some thousand to 400 and some thousand, I hope the supervisors will rethink that. Doesn't mean we shouldn't increase them, but I hope that we increase them a little bit, not tripling the amount we're giving them. And maybe just budgeting in long-term, increasing 10% or 20% or some percent, just promising that you'll go up a certain amount every year instead of tripling the amount that we're giving them. But line by line, I mean, the supervisors go from 8,000 to 67,000, management from 172,000 to 134,000, finance from 103,000 to 176,000, administration from 127 to 21. So there's wild fluctuations here. And Tommy, I know that you and your finance director are new. So like each of the last ones who preceded you, you all have different ways of doing things. Honestly, I have more confidence in you guys than I did in your predecessors. So I think you're probably doing things right. But I mean, I don't mean that in a pejorative way, like anything legal or illegal, just in terms of doing things more correctly that John would approve of as a CPA. But the swings here are so radical. I would hope that you would go down them line by line on the expense side in particular. Our revenues are projected to go up 200,000 and our expenses up 400,000, a 7.5% increase, I think, based on my phone's calculator. The capital fund you explained well. I guess that's it. Just again, it's awkward to do this in the beginning. And I hope either tonight or at a future meeting that you'll go down, particularly expenses to show how you're reordering things. But also, so if the expenses are up 340,000 or so, that might completely be the fire department when everything else is put into different categories. So I just hope at some point, whether it's now, later when we talk about the budget or at a future meeting, that you'll go down some of these things in more detail.
Yeah, I'd like to just mention that, you know, we are introducing the budget tonight. We're not necessarily advertising it. I believe we have to advertise it by next meeting, the next regular meeting, not the third, right? The one after that?
It has to be advertised at least 20 days before it's voted on. And
Okay.
it has to be voted on by the end of the year.
Yeah, so we would like to have an opportunity to to do a workshop on it. But this is an introduction to the,
And if you wanted to sort of preemptively put something out with each line showing, instead of having to speak to it, we could see it in advance and then say, okay, well, that makes sense, no questions. The one big one that stands out is the fire department. I hope that you'll do what you think is right. They asked for a lot of money last year. We didn't give it to them. I don't know,
we
really.
didn't give it to them last year by mistake.
Well, but we've
I
never
would just
given,
say, no, we didn't give them money last year because we had one supervisor. We didn't have three supervisors who could vote on it or make any kind of decision. We had one supervisor. And I couldn't change the budget. I couldn't do any of that by myself. And I think it was, if you look back, it's really embarrassing to see how we have not funded our EMS folks when we should have been. I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but I think that this is a huge public service. It's what we do here, is make sure that our residents are safe and cared for. And we are very lucky to have the wonderful volunteer fire department that we have, and we're not supporting them, and others as well that are here representing themselves tonight. So I
don't
want
think-
you to understand that I don't think that what we've done in the past was correct at all. That's my opinion.
and I don't think anybody would disagree with anything you just said. I think in the past, we've given tens of thousands. Now we're giving hundreds of thousands.
But that's not 100% accurate, because one of the things that was done in the past is that fire companies would come to us when they had equipment needs and capital needs, and they'd ask for special contributions. And there are some years where we gave $200,000 in capital contributions to the fire companies. And so I think one of the efforts that is being made in this budget is to set things up on an ongoing basis so that you don't have these spikes and these hills and valleys.
Makes sense. But again, now you're talking about, you're picking up the biggest number, 200. Now we're talking about 470.
Well, I'm just talking about 200 to one fire company for capital contribution.
On top.
That is on top of everything else. So
Well-
we were talking probably that year, well over $350,000 in total.
Well, I would tell you you're wrong about that, but I would suggest that you give a 10-year history, Tommy, next time when you put out the fire budget. And if there's once in a while that we add 200,000, as opposed to now going to 467,000 or whatever it is, again, I'm not telling you shouldn't. I'm saying look at it carefully. I would suggest that you promise and increase over a number of years instead of hitting us with a $300,000 increase.
Appreciate your opinion, but I would personally like to thank the folks in the back of the room that have saved my life before, and other friends of mine, for all that you do. And I'm sorry that we didn't contribute more when we could have, and we do the most that we can. Thank you.
Well, that's not what you said last year. Again,
Here, I told you, I was one supervisor here with two in the hospital.
well, you had the right to express your opinion then, which you did, which.
No, I didn't know that we weren't funding people who were asking, and it wasn't getting to the
Well,
supervisor.
Dana, that's just not the case. Kathy Kazone
Okay.
came here and explained the entire expense, and you pushed back on her and then ended up giving them some anyway.
No one to vote to change.
I'm talking about you specifically. I'm not talking about the supervisor vote. I'm talking about what you had a chance to say or not say. And you did end up approving, what was it, 80,000 or something to them? So you did have the ability to put through an amount.
We didn't. We gave it to them after the fact. We gave them some of
Well,
our ARPA
exactly.
after the fact.
Exactly.
We didn't put them in the budget. We didn't give them anything. And I can get into a long litany of why that didn't happen the way it should have with Kathy. But I'm just not going to. This is not the time or the place. I'm just telling you that personally, I feel that we owe a debt of
No one would
responsibility
disagree with
to
that,
pay
Dana. We all agree with that.
these folks
I mean, if you could
first.
just give a 10-year history of the amount we've given them, just to better lay out exactly what we're talking about here, I think that would be helpful to all of us. To jump by $350,000 in 1 year just seems, I mean, it's not like they're going to fold without that money because they've existed without it. Again, I'm just saying it for the third.
I would disagree. I think we have responsibility to keep them afloat. This is a national emergency that,
Well, then I'd like to hear, we need to hear that then. That's not for you to say, it's for them to say.
Evening. Yeah, just to follow up on the fire company, I guess, I was wondering if we have a number. What kind of contribution? I mean, I know everybody gets a letter from them yearly for an annual contribution, residents. Do we have a number where the residents are contributing to the fire company?
The fire companies would have to give you
Yeah.
that. You're talking about their annual fundraising?
Yeah, well, I mean,
from Euclid
so you don't-
ambulance, but I don't know that I could.
yeah, I think part of the discussion for the ambulance company was just laying out the numbers of what the township residents contribute. And that was part of the calculus on how we decided to fund it or come up with a number. I was just wondering if that occurred. Did anyone do that again?
I think most of the companies gave me some information on their budgets and their revenues. I know Euclid Ambulance did and Ludwig's Corner did, but I defer to them on the numbers, the current numbers.
Okay, I mean, we obviously know what the contribution from public funds will be. Just curious how what's raised locally compares to that.
Yeah.
So the other question or comment, declaration of taking, is that the same as eminent domain or is that
Yes.
legally different? It's the same. So it doesn't mean,
The declaration of taking is the actual document that you file under the legal theory of eminent domain.
okay,
And that was the land that was offered to us.
I don't know which one he's talking about. We have a,
this,
one on the agenda
Yeah.
tonight.
This is the,
5D, it says public hearing declaration of taking.
Yeah.
but and it's 10,000 square feet. Yeah.
Okay, so that's eminent domain. Last, I guess, comment, I'm not really sure what to say. Solar panels, I got a picture of an empty field with nothing else. I'm not quite sure how I can ask or any questions or give
There's
comments.
a little blurb above it that says.
Yeah, there's a sentence above it also. Discussion. The supervisor will discuss the possible installation of solar panels.
And I think we're gonna have a discussion around that one before we vote on it.
Yeah.
Not, my point is, it's very difficult.
Questions on it Myself. So
Okay.
we're gonna have some
If
discussion.
there's more information included
We
in the
will,
packet,
I'll-
I provide it, but for that topic, that's all there is just
Okay.
a discussion.
Well, my point is coming up here to give comments now is kind of a waste of everybody's time without more information.
All we have right now.
Okay,
I mean, we can tell you what we know about the solar panels. And what's before us.
yeah, but why wouldn't you be?
We're a long ways, so we're a long ways away from making any decisions on solar panels.
I think we're asking questions about it. It's
Yeah.
been presented to us from our clean energy transition team. That they feel they could get us grant money for more solar, right? We're trying to get, to take care of all the electric in the township facility.
I
These solar panels, but yet we don't know what.
I agree. I
we
think
don't
it's
know
just-
what it does for us. We don't know where it's going.
this is an awkward
Okay.
time to have the public come up and give comments on an agenda
I
item
agree.
when there's no information here. There's probably will be more comments after you discuss it, maybe, or hear a presentation. But when's our opportunity to ask about that? In the next meeting
No.
after non-agenda comment?
I completely agree with you that when we're presenting information that you didn't know and don't know about and have a question, that you should come up and be allowed to ask about that afterwards. I'm with you on that.
I think that's like more of
Yeah.
a normal,
Coming up or saying what's going on with the solar panels and we haven't discussed it yet. We don't even know. So
all I know is I got a picture of a
I
field.
got you. Be free to come up after, get to that. I think if we talk about it further, we're just gonna waste a lot of time.
That was kind of my point.
Yeah. I agree. Thank you. Anyone else?
On the subject of the declaration of taking, is it temporary? It didn't seem to say that you give it back? Is this a taking for the substitute bridge? Okay, and so
Yes.
you're gonna take somebody's land with no compensation to them?
No, that's not true.
Oh,
Let me,
it's
let
not
me,
true.
let me answer these questions. It's not without compensation. It's both acquisition of right of way for where the new bridge is going to be and a temporary construction easement that's going to be needed during construction. Temporary construction easement is temporary. When the construction is complete, it's no longer needed, that goes away. The extra right of way where the new bridge is going to be built is permanent.
Okay, so you take it and you keep it, even when, if you keep the right of way.
Yes, because the bridge is going to be on it.
Okay, what's the compensation?
There is an appraisal process that's part of this whole process.
Okay. Okay, and one other comment about the fire company. I'm not in their district. I'm not in the Douglas Corner Fire Company district. So that makes any difference. We aren't all in the district.
Hi, Deb Pollinger, the president of the Kimberton Fire Company. So in 2025, 2024, excuse me, our 25 just went out. We had 16% return in the fund drive. And we brought in $50,202 with our expenses for the fund drive, $6,128.99. So that was our fund drive. Okay.
Chief Johnson, Chief of Operations, Euclid Ambulance. For our last year's fund drive, which runs from August of 2024 through July of 2025, we received 258 subscription memberships of 2,100 people for a total of $24,260, or 11.66 of the individuals we mailed. And we received 74 donations from that group for a total of $3,440 for a return of 3.34% for a total of $27,770.
Again, Jeff Combs, the Deputy Chief at Lover's Corner. I think it's important to note that the fire companies have always appreciated the contributions of the municipality partners that we have. The fire companies, just like the townships, have a lot of unfunded mandates, which means the government that's way above us comes in and says that there's things that we have to have, and they tell us not how to pay for it, but we have to have it. Our trucks right now, we're in the process of purchasing a new truck. That was that'll probably be here sometime in January of 2027. It was about a 30-month time lead. That truck's about 1.4 million. Trucks continue to go up. There's called what's the NFPA, which is the National Fire Protection Association, is a guideline for the fire companies all across America. It doesn't matter whether you're paid. It doesn't matter whether you're a volunteer. We have to follow the same guidelines. So whether you're the city of Philadelphia or Lover's Corner Fire Company, those unfunded mandates we're required to comply with. If our trucks are not compliant with that and something happens, the fire company is liable for that. So we don't get to pick and choose the bells and whistles of what the fire company wants. We try to be very fiscal. We don't go out and just buy parade pieces and apparatus just to have the best looking trucks. We want functional trucks, but we also need to have trucks that are compliant. And unfortunately, in this day and age, I'm sure everybody knows that the cost of products and goods right now is extremely high. The fire company is not exempt from that. We're also going through that as well too. The municipalities in general, over the year, there has not been a significant increase in contributions to the fire company. We've tried to live within our means, and unfortunately, it's getting to the point that we're not able to live within our means anymore. If the municipalities aren't able to contribute to that, the fire companies will go under. And when they go under, you'll be paying for pensions for paid firefighters, you'll be paying for their salaries. And unfortunately, the volunteers that are left that are still doing this, and there's probably less than 25,000 in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania when it started out in the 70s of over 300,000, we are a dying breed. And we really need the support of the municipalities and our residents. Our fund drive, we get probably about a 15 to 18% return. Could be $50, it could be $100. We're no longer able to do chicken dinners. Just like everybody, we're all busy. We have families, we have jobs that we're trying to do. And unfortunately, just trying to do a chicken barbecue at $5 a dinner is not going to continue to keep the volunteer fire companies in service. 25 years ago, that could be done. You could do chicken barbecues and we could have carnivals and fairs, and that'd help offset the cost. how many chicken barbecues do we need to do to pay for our $1.4 million fire truck? It's something that's just not sustainable, unfortunately. So I would like to thank West Vincent for stepping up this year. Over the years, we've asked about that. We've tried to be a good partner. We understand that West Vincent had needed to work through some things, and we understood that. But we do appreciate you stepping up and supporting the fire companies, because without that, we won't be in business. So thank you.
We're not supposed to direct comments, but I'm going to anyway. Thank you for that, Jeff. That was really helpful. That's sort of what we were looking for. I'm going to go home tonight and make a contribution to Lotus Corners. In particular, sorry to the other groups that are here, but they're the ones that are closest to us. Thank you for all you do. And as I say, everybody in here would agree with everything you've said in terms of how important all those things. Just, I hope you understand, to go from 80,000 to 400 and some thousand in 1 year jumps out fiscally, not necessarily morally, which I think we need to do the right thing.
Thank you. Jay Pollinger, Kimmerton Fire Company's fire chief. Just so you guys all know, Kimmerton has replaced the entire fleet of trucks. 2020 to 2013, all the trucks have been replaced. West Vincent contributed absolutely nothing to those trucks. We're almost on the set of replacing those trucks, and we're trying to get everything in line for the replacement. When Erica was here, I believe, was the last year, and I believe that was 16, we had a commitment from West Vincent for $100,000 for our apparatus. We spent $1.1 million on the tower truck. Now, West Vincent, I'm not 100% sure you need a tower truck, but there was a commitment from the manager at that point in time. That never happened. Kimmerton ate that. Kimmerton has been eating the cost of doing business in West Vincent since. And we got our numbers together. Before that, 3-4 years ago, I believe, was the last contribution to the Kimmerton Fire Company. They've never contributed, probably 10 years, to any capital improvements. And that's why we're at the numbers we're at. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm very sorry. Do we have any other questions? And again, if there's some things that aren't clear in the agenda, we're absolutely gonna let people ask about it. So if no one else, I guess we'll move on. So the October 6th meeting minutes. We have a motion to approve those.
So moved.
And I second.
In favor?
Aye.
I approved. Public hearing, so I'm going to turn that over to Dave.
Okay.
You want to explain what's going on with?
First up,
Fire EMS.
first up is ordinance 2/18/2025. It's amendment to the township code to allow exemptions for earned income tax and real estate tax for volunteer firefighters and volunteer ambulance personnel. And what the ordinance does is it gives a credit back to those volunteers that reside in the township. There's a process by which they can establish to be a qualified volunteer. And if they are a qualified volunteer and follow the process, then they are entitled to, remember what it is, Tom?
Up to 100% township real estate taxes, up to $250.
100%, up to 100% real estate, real property tax credit, and up to 250 against your earned income tax. So it's a little bit of an incentive, help those volunteers, make it a little bit more palatable to be a volunteer, and serve in that capacity. So, anyone have any specific comments about this ordinance? You can come up now and make your comments if you have any. I see none. So with that, you have it where here. We're just gonna vote on it now. Okay, hearing a motion then, I suggest you make, entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2018 to 2025 to establish certain tax credits for volunteer fire personnel and volunteer ambulance personnel.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes. Thank you.
Right.
Fire service, thank you very much. We do appreciate it.
The second ordinance that's been advertised is 2025. It's the declaration of taking that we talked about before. This is relative to the need to replace the bridge over, it's Birch Run.
Buttonwood.
It's on Buttonwood Lane over the Birch Run on Buttonwood Lane. That bridge is in disrepair and needs to be replaced as determined by the township structural engineer. The township has a grant for 80% of the funding. And in order to do that, the township is going to build a new bridge next to the existing bridge. And in order to do that, the township needs to acquire land for where the new bridge is going to be relocated. And also additional land on a temporary basis for where the work people can lay down their equipment and assemble materials and to work adjacent to that. The actual area of the taking for the acquisition of property, so the new right-of-way needed is 4,244 square feet or 0.097 acres. And the area required for the temporary construction easement is 5,110 square feet or 0.117 acres. The township has received an appraisal for the taking, and that appraisal estimated the damages the property owner for both. I just what you have in front of you, $12,235. So the ordinance that's before the board will authorize me to file what's called a declaration of taking. That's the actual pleading that would need to be filed in the court in Chester County Court of Common Pleas that allows the process to begin. So before I ask for a motion to approve that, or any comments or questions about this ordinance?
Is the original bridge site gonna be vacant then?
The original bridge will be removed as part of this.
You say it'll be removed?
Yeah, yes.
And the new bridge will be put on this land you're taking.
Right, new bridge will be built next to it. When it's up and running, then the old bridge will be taken away. Removed. Okay, any other questions?
Do we have any timeline at this point, Tommy, that we can pinpoint to?
We're gonna go up to bid in late December.
And just so probably a year after that.
The construction
Let's
schedule is
say-
approximately 280 days and looking to wrap up towards the end of next year.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question?
I have another question.
Go ahead.
Is there still two bridges?
Well, there's one bridge now.
Yeah, well, there's two, well, there's a bridge and then that culvert, big opening. It looks like two bridges.
I don't know what he's, I'm not familiar with the actual physical.
It's just one
Well,
broken bridge.
Just one bridge.
Right?
Just one bridge.
The thing that collapsed. Was that the bridge or that was something over?
It's all part of the bridge.
The bridge
There was
collapsed.
actually a car that lunged.
Yeah. Was that on the bridge or was that on this other? bridge?
No, it was on the bridge.
Okay, any other question? All right, with that, I'd recommend you entertain a motion to approve ordinance to 2025-19.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2019-2025 to authorize the filing of a declaration of taking for the acquisition of property and fee and a temporary construction easement.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
That brings us to. Okay, so resolution 16/2025, which, maybe, can you tell us a little bit more about that one, Tommy, do you mind?
Yeah, staff is preparing an application to the Pico Green Region Open Space Program seeking $7,500 towards the cost of replacing fencing in Opalani Park and some replacement trees and new trees in Evans Park.
Like to make a motion?
I'll move. I'll second that.
Let me at least say it since we didn't motion. A motion to approve resolution 16/2025 to authorize submission of an application to the Pico Green Regional Grant Program.
He moved, I seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And that brings us back to the budget. Now that you folks, I think I would like a little bit more time before we seal the budget. Okay,
And I think we have that time.
we
I
do.
mean, typically, we will move to have this available for public inspection and advertised at the November meeting. Unless there's not enough time, and I think there is enough time between that and the December meeting, the December regular meeting. So we can do it
I'm
then.
comfortable with that. Okay, so we definitely want to hash out everything that there is to hash out for sure. This is probably not a good time to bring up some points that not a good time to bring up points of contention on it, or no?
I can provide an overview or you
Okay.
to the points of contention.
Okay, why don't you give us an overview? Go for that.
So while this is the first copy of the draft that we've made available for discussion at a meeting, it's actually the 121st version of the budget that staff has been working on throughout the year. Unlike many other municipalities, we don't start the budget season in the fall. We start it after the first of the year and work on the budget year round. And we do that because there are things happening around us all the time that affect our ability to put together a good budget. And if we're going to put together an accurate budget, we have to pay attention to what's going on in Harrisburg and Washington with our school district and in our community. So for example, when we receive real estate transfer taxes each month, we make sure we note the amount and we work it into the budget. We take a look at what we received the last couple of years. We try to identify from that number what's called our base residential resale. Those are existing single family homes that turn over, because that's the bread and butter of that receipt. And throughout the year, with this specific receipt, for example, we'll take a look and see, is there any new construction on the horizon? And if so, is it going to happen in the coming year? And if so, how much, what the sales pace is going to be? And we work those numbers into the budget. And by working on the budget a little bit every single day, the end product is very accurate and our very, very best estimate of what's going to happen in the next 12 months. But just the broad strokes with regards to what was presented tonight, the draft budget has no tax increase. Millage rate will remain at 2.09%. I should say just 2.09 mils. And there are no new taxes proposed, although I think the board is going to get some discussion with regards to a fire and EMS tax either tonight or at a later meeting. The real estate tax and the earned income tax, relatively modest increases for the coming year. We do work with the tax collectors, the folks at Berkheimer and the Chester County Tax Collection Bureau, and putting together our estimates. Real estate transfer taxes will be a little less projected next year. We did have a very large transfer in the first quarter of this year for about $200,000. Those things don't happen very often. And being conservative with the budget approach, you don't anticipate and try to work those bigger numbers into your budget for things that may not happen. So the real estate transfer tax number includes the transfer of single family homes only, our base for next year. The budget includes relatively level building permit revenues. On the expenditure side in the general fund, there is one additional full-time employee proposed, and that is in the police department. That has been a hire that's been in the works for several months now, and we anticipate that officer coming on board sometime this year in December. The administrative side, we had a decrease of one full-time employee this year. That person was replaced by a part-time employee. The township also eliminated a zoning officer consultant who had been working with us for a few years. Those two moves saved the township about $104,000 a year. As we discussed at length earlier tonight, we have increased aid to the volunteer fire departments and ambulance departments that serve the township. Year to date, those contributions to those five organizations total 146,000. Actually, that number just went to one. And as we noted, the proposed budget increases that to $433,000. Budget includes a 10% increase to the contribution of our local library at approximately $1,500. There is a modest increase in roadway maintenance. That's not the annual road program. These are just the fixes that our public works team makes throughout the year. Increase there from $60,000 to $64,000. And there's no transfer out of the general fund into the capital fund. And we'll talk about what that means in just a moment. With regards to the open space fund, relatively flat EIT receipts. And again, working with our tax collector on those estimates. The expenditure side, we have approximately $1.08 million budgeted for an acquisition of, this is the 17 Years LLC, which has been in the works for some time. And then approximately $370,000 in debt service on two borrowings. Those are the two major expenditures out of the open space fund proposed for 2026. On the capital side, we have for receipts $1.9 million in reimbursement for the Buttonwood Bridge, but we don't expect to get those late in the year. And as noted earlier, that's why one of the reasons why our interest projected in the capital fund is lower than what we see with the three funds, separate funds we have now together. On the expenditure side, we have two pieces of equipment, one for police and one for public works. The police, it's a replacement vehicle, Chevy Tahoe at about $81,000. And for public works, a tractor and a flail mower at $149,000. But I'll note at next month's meeting, we'll be asking the board to authorize the submission of a grant application to the LSA program to fund approximately 80% of that purchase cost. The bigger items in the capital fund include two bigger road projects. One is the reconstruction of and the installation of storm sewers in Schoolhouse. That road has been warranting attention for some time now. And that's approximately $270,000. And the board has discussed over the last few years as well, converting the gravel drive at St. Andrews into a paved road with storm sewer. The township engineer estimates that project at $1.24 million if the board wants to proceed. And then lastly, of course, Buttonwood, the cost for that per our traffic engineer's last estimate is $2.4 million. But as noted just a moment ago, we'll get back $1.9 million eventually from the state for that project. Lastly, the fourth and final fund, liquid fuels. Just another example of the township trying to do more with less. Just the other day, we received notice from the state. Our liquid fuels allocation will be decreasing next year. For those of you not familiar, liquid fuels are basically the taxes you pay at the gas pump. Every time you fill up your car, a portion of those taxes go to Harrisburg, and the folks in Harrisburg reallocate that to municipalities based on relative lane miles of roads and population. Our share of those dollars will decrease next year by about $10,000. We do have an augmented road program in our liquid fuels fund for next year. We do have a healthy little balance in the liquid fuels fund. This year, we spent approximately $300,000 on the annual resurfacing program, and there's $500,000 budgeted for 2026. Just one note going back to the transfers out of the general fund. The general fund is balanced right now. We're showing approximate $90 surplus. The
That's
budget.
in one place.
Yeah, and there is also a fully funded operating reserve for the general fund. The second class township code allows us to save 25% of our annual receipts in a rainy day fund in case there's something unexpected. So we have a fully funded operating reserve and a balanced general fund. What we're missing from our budget right now is a transfer out of the general fund to the capital fund. Because that is how most capital funds are funded, which is transfers out of the general fund. So while we have a balanced general fund with a 25% operating reserve, we do not have a balanced general fund and capital fund. So if you take a look at the capital fund numbers that were distributed tonight, you can see that we're in red by a good amount of money. One of the goals that we try to do every year we put together a budget is put together a budget that is truly sustainable, meaning that when we look forward in 2026, all the money that we are getting is at or above all the money we are spending. And that's not going to be the case right now with the budget overall. And we say these things at this point just to give a starting point in discussions. When we get together again to look at the budget, we will have all the line items in the budget so you can see what is what by line item. But it makes sense to take a bigger perspective now and look at some questions with regards to long-term sustainability and creating a budget that is truly balanced.
I have a couple of questions, comments. So first off, for the gravel, did I hear correctly that there was a bit of a windfall with the paving shavings?
We got a bunch of millings, yes.
Yeah, so that saved us.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say that's saving us from the gravel road?
I couldn't ballpark.
Okay.
We'll use every bit of it.
In the thousands, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Thousands,
Yeah.
right? Because we're able to keep those millings and use it for the gravel road. So I think that's terrific. We were able to make that work. I would, the St. Andrews lane, not that I want to push those people off any longer, but my question would be, we tried the new product for the dust. Do we know if it's working? Can we find out if it's working? Maybe we can move it a little bit further and still have those folks be comfortable. And that's something, can we look into that? To see if that's a possibility? That's $1.2 million.
Yeah, if I can interject, it's more than dust. I mean, the road not only has this, we can watch for it. I mean, it bends to one side with a slope down on the other side. It's not really safe for an unschooled driver. And the fire company before, where it was Marty, who had come in here and said that how unsafe it is for the fire trucks to get down there. And I imagine it's going to be the same thing for the ambulance. Are you familiar with that, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, so that it's more than just dust. And yes, there's.
I know there's stormwater issues. There's a
Yeah.
lot. That's why it's $1.2
It's a
million
lot of money
dollars.
for a
Right,
relatively
it's
short.
not just a paving and
Right.
it's not just a simple thing to fit in. And we have been kicking that can a long time. I'm just. It's a,
Fire company was responsible for that second, what were you in the part, that bottom part of West End, and you have to go all the way down Black Horse now, so
so you save time.
we would, if it was paid, we would use it.
Well, good to know. And the other, and by the way, what is recommended to put into the capital fund every year? Do you express that?
Well,
I know that you have to without getting a finding. Right?
yeah, we do a reserve study that takes a look at what we are required to maintain right now. So we take a look at all of our vehicles, all of our other large equipment, our facilities like the township building. And then we have to make some assumptions about our long-term obligations with things like roads and curbs and sidewalks and stormwater culverts and basins, if we're the ones responsible for maintaining basins. It's a very big number. I don't know of any municipality that has a fully funded capital reserve. I think the very best you can do is make sure that your overall budget every single year is balanced, and you make some reasonable progress to put together a very healthy reserve in the capital side.
But you can't continue to do that year after year without some findings in your audit, without transparency.
Well, one of the pieces of paper we have to shuffle at the beginning of every year is an overview, a snapshot of our financial position, condition of financial. There is language in there that asks if 3 or more years, consecutive years, you have had to use reserves to balance your budget, your general fund budget. We're not there this year, but when you start to use reserves to pay your everyday bills, and you do that for 3 or more years, that tells the folks in Harrisburg, we might have a problem here. Yeah.
And one last thing that I wanted to mention, this is a small thing. We have $42,000 for the Evans Park. I know the, what is it, the yoga putting green thing. I would like to say, can we just change that to parks? It's just parks and trails and not earmark it for anything specific, and because we definitely need improvements there. I don't know how I feel about that particular project, but I think that Parks and Rec maybe could weigh in, and the community weigh in on what we need there, but not lose that funding opportunity.
Okay.
Okay. So, does anyone else have questions? Because I mean, this is a big thing, and I think you have a right to come up and ask questions.
It's a general question. It's not
Mhm.
a line by line thing so much.
Sure.
Just curious if any of you have ever voted for a tax increase?
You've never been asked to.
Well, I haven't been here very long, and the answer to that is I've not had the opportunity to vote for a tax.
Bernie, you haven't? No. Dana, you haven't? Any idea the last time we increased our taxes?
It was 2000, the early 2000s, I want to say, may have been 2005. What was done at that time?
Not including open spaces.
No, there used to be a higher real estate tax, and what happened in the mid 2000s was it was reduced to 2.09 mils because the earned income tax was increased. So there was, and the upshot of it was there was an increase in taxes, but it was
out of one and into another.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was, but to my knowledge, the real estate tax has been the same since then.
Okay.
And the earned income tax has been the same since then. So you're talking 20 years?
Okay. Thank you to our supervisors for that.
I'd like to see us consider a EMS tax, which is a whole different thing that's that doesn't necessarily mean that if you tax them that it's going to them. And my question would be, is if we were to do that, would we need a tax? Because I realize that what we're doing isn't necessarily sustainable unless we can come up with a way to make it more sustainable. Right now, where we're going is we're not in a good financial position going forward. Do you agree?
I agree.
Yeah, it's not sustainable long term, so we have to start looking at future ways to fund our EMS and keep paying our bills. So, but can you explain how that works with when you do an EMS tax, that you don't actually, it's not like it actually funnels to them. You're taking it and they have to still prove that they need it, right? So then we might change it next year. So can you explain how that works? Did I do that?
It's a tax rate that's has to be used for emergency services. And then you decide how much, what emergency service.
Right, so it's put aside for that,
Mhm.
and it's not necessarily like it just funnels into them. And it's still in our control, and it's just money that we would know we have without taking it from our general fund, which we need to pay our bills. So it's something that a lot of townships are doing to try and solve this problem, and I think we should look at it and see how it would work for us. But that would be a workshop. We'd all get out here and discuss it and see. I don't I'd prefer to do that over changing the tax.
And the last item on the budget, the roads, I don't think anybody would oppose increasing the money available to make our roads smoother. But there was a big jump. But is there anything specific? It's not about St. Andrews, right? That the big increase.
No, out of the liquid fuels fund, that would be just the annual road program.
But it's a big increase. Is there anything particular that you're looking at?
My experience, a municipality this size with about 55 miles of roads, $295,000 is a little short on road maintenance. You should be around $500,000 a year.
Okay, so it's nothing specific, just a general.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Real quick, the tax increase. Last one was sold as a tax decrease when they sunsetted one half of the open space tax. They sunsetted it a year early under Claire Quinn's group of supervisors when Jim was a manager, but then they increased another tax by, I forget, but it ended up, percentage-wise, ended up being a tax increase. But they sold as a tax decrease because they cut out one tax a year early. So there was a tax increase. That was either 2012 or 2011 through 2013. There was a tax increase.
And we do have, there's construction that's going to be coming in here, and that's going to change the picture too. And that's something that we think it's too far off to plan for. George.
Yeah, I think it went from 1.7 to 209, something like that. The real estate tax. The fire EMS tax you mentioned, what do those look like? Is it per capita tax? Is it real estate tax, income tax?
It's a real estate tax. Real estate tax.
Real estate.
It's millage specifically for that purpose.
So it's
Under real estate.
just rolls in. So like before, when we used to have an open space tax based on real estate and a general fund tax, this would be another line item.
Yes.
Okay, and that would be something. Is that something you're gonna be changing every year potentially? Is that typical? I'm just wondering what the advantage of doing that is, other than rolling it in with a general fund. I don't know that. I mean, you're taxing the same tax base.
Well, the reason why a lot of municipalities do it that way is you can see in your budget money specifically for fire and EMS as a total.
You mean in your tax receipts, I guess.
Tax receipts, right. And then you can allocate how you want to allocate that. But it's.
So we
there.
can make promises, and then we're not robbing from that to pay our other bills because we know it's earmarked for them.
Yeah, but it seems to me in the end, it's all paid by the same tax base, and it's
Well, it is. It's just-
administered by the same people in the township. So it seems almost like a academic to make it a separate tax, so that there's a cost of administrating a separate tax. So I'm not sure. Seems like a wash, worse than a wash. Potentially. I guess we'll have to talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Have we exhausted the budget for tonight? Oh, when we're. Did we exhaust the questions on the budget for today? We're definitely going to have plenty of opportunity to talk about it. Okay, so we're not making a motion on that today. We just wanted to discuss it, and that brings us to the solar panels. And Kirk, would you like to talk about the solar panels situation? Because I think we have to make some decisions on this.
Sure.
If we're interested in moving forward.
Yeah, Kirk Reibel, Bertrand Road, says, I've been a resident here for 22 years. I was on the original clean energy transition team. And so what we're looking at is alternative fuel sources, cleaner energy, cleaner technologies, not only to reduce carbon emissions, but to reduce cost. So solar is a great way to do that. So 2 years ago, we presented to the board the energy transition plan. And that included solar panels for, at that time, we were thinking maybe the Public Works building. So that was 2 years ago. So we've been, over the course of time, trying to figure out how can we really implement this. A solar panel array that could basically energize all of the township operations, which is, it was around $12,000, $13,000 of electrical expenses. Today it's around 20,000. The last 5 years, your electric rate's gone up 60%. Okay, I think all the residents see that too in their bills, which is terrible. So the question here is, can we put on the Public Works building? Apparently that has a bad roof and it's leaking. And not only that, but they had to do mold remediation last year, which cost, I think something like $6,000 was in the budget. And that's gonna be an ongoing expense until they fix that roof. So the other question is, where else can we put the solar array? If we're gonna do it at all. So we talked to the Pennsylvania Solar Center, and they're out of the Pittsburgh area, but they're willing to work with us to do some engineering for free, costs us nothing, to figure out where else we could put this and what the cost could be. So do not know about the exact cost, but they'll be in the $200,000 range for cost of an array. Good for 25 years plus. And with a payback period of around 10, 15 years or less than that. So the question is, how do we move forward on this? In talking with the board, there's been, they'd like to know where it's going to go, but that's not how you do something like this. You first figure out how much is it going to cost? Where do we tie into the grid? Yada, yada. So the question is, do we want to do solar panels or not? We still have the capability for taking advantage of the 30% federal tax incentives, which we don't get as tax incentives, we get as direct pay, which is basically a check from the government, which can go to municipalities or even businesses, nonprofits, places like that. So I'm just wondering, is this something we want to move forward on or not? And the way to do it is not figure out where it's going to go, is to hire experts, not even hire them, have them help us move forward on what would it look like, where are the different spaces, and where could it be?
Okay, so did you just say that it was free to get the engineering study, but it was, what was $200,000?
To buy it.
And was there not a grant match or something here? It's just,
There's no grant match.
it's just what it would cost us, so we don't have this in the budget, $200,000 at this moment, I don't believe, correct? Nothing in there for solar panels, just that? Okay, so if we're talking about it, we're not talking about it for this year unless we find more room in our budget.
Well, I think to get the federal incentives, it has to be, you have to start construction by mid next year, is that correct?
Correct.
So it's gonna
So
have.
then you're gonna lose that 30%.
Correct. So.
And are we saying that this is gonna power or we don't know until they come to a study, so.
Well, we've done some really basic studies and it'll cover this building, it'll cover the Public Works building, it'll cover the park. And I think have a street light somewhere downtown at the intersection of 401 and 100. So it'll cover all that. The alternative is, is there another piece of property that the township owns within 2 miles that we could alternatively put that solar array in? Okay, and you're getting into the realm of what's called community solar, where people will say, I don't want this in my backyard. Okay, but that's the other way. And there's a lot of communities that are doing that.
And are we doing this to, set an example that, look, you can do this, or we think that this is actually going to end up benefiting the township cost wise? Or
both. And your first point was approved in a resolution that was passed by this very board in 2020.
I mean, we definitely want to, pursue clean energy.
Yeah.
and make an example, but I guess the question is the expense going to be more than we can handle at this point, and will we get paid back for it? So I don't know where we are with the panels that are up there. I think we finally got those going, right? What's their lifespan at this point? Because I think they probably sat up there at least 10 years with it.
I didn't put them up.
Working.
I was not involved in that.
I believe they were up in.
2012, like that?
Yeah, something.
Yeah. So, I mean, they were free, it was from a grant, so they cover about a month. Over the course of a year, they cover about a month.
So what are we being asked to do? I think there's a memorandum of understanding we need to sign, which would allow this group to come in and do the study and make recommendations and determine how much this would cost.
They would do not just that, but they would be able to get bids for you also for free. So you get 3 qualified bids that would know exactly how much this would cost. And not just that, they would say, you know what, why don't you put it over here? Connected to the grid on the street. Why don't you put it over here? Okay, so just saying, hey, no, I'd rather have it over there is not the way you do it. You get the experts to come in so you can get their opinions on what works.
And potentially, as old as these solar panels are up here, they're probably inefficient. Maybe even replace those. I don't know. No idea, but I don't mind a free study. That's certainly fine. But would they also look at potential wind turbines or anything like that? Is it just solar?
This is not a good area for wind turbines. It's just not high enough. I mean, you got to go up higher in the mountains. So
do we have to make a motion or vote on whether or not we want to pursue the engineering study? Is that what we're doing?
So moved.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, basically it's a free engineering study. We need to get a signature on an MOU. And we might not even get it to the point where we can move forward on getting these tax credits. If you don't get these tax credits, might not be worth
I guess
it.
there's grant potential, but we find out.
A lot of grant, yeah, there's a lot of grant potential, but that's.
So before we vote on that, much to everyone's chagrin, I'm going to allow if there's a couple questions or comments from the audience on this before we vote on that. Anyone? A comment?
Yeah.
Is the open space committee gonna meet tomorrow?
Oh, that has nothing to do with the solar.
Oh, I thought it was, it's not on the agenda.
An open space would not meet tomorrow anyways. It would meet next week.
Will it be next week then?
If
Don't know
if
yet.
they meet, we
Don't know yet.
Don't know.
Okay.
It's been a lot of holding off. This is about the solar panels. Anybody, right? Thank you.
Yeah, now I have,
An opportunity.
now I have some background. I can ask some more educated questions. So this memorandum of understanding that you're considering, I guess, would be great to have seen, but obviously nothing is free. These guys are gonna do a free study for you because there's something in it for them, which is fine. Everyone's got to get paid, but but they still have to get paid.
Sure.
So what are you committing to by signing this thing that no one's?
There's nothing that we're signing. We're making a motion for Tommy to investigate having them come on board to do a free study for us.
Right.
So as soon as it costs $1, then.
So there's no agreement at all? Why does supervisor even need to get involved then? Isn't that totally?
Memorandum in front of us.
It was emailed to you about a month ago.
Oh, we got him up here?
Oh, yeah,
Okay. I don't remember seeing.
it's there, it's been there.
Okay, I don't remember seeing it.
And it even says free, no cost.
That's probably why we didn't read it. No.
Okay,
Who believes that, right?
I guess my point is, if you don't have to sign anything or supervisors don't, why are the supervisors even involved?
It's wonderful.
I mean, it seems like this is Tommy collecting information for you.
Supervisors still need to authorize the effort to be taken Yeah, people
And
want
this
to
is-
be here,
this
they're
is-
gonna be, who knows what they're gonna be doing.
This is not something that fits in an executive session, so unfortunately, we have to be transparent and talk about it here with them.
Okay, I guess, yeah, they might be here and taking measurements and so forth, but before we get to any point where obviously they're not gonna do this without some kind of commitment from the township for something, they need something, otherwise they're not gonna do this. They need some kind of exclusivity, something. No, I mean, it's. And then they'll be back here, you'll be back here again, right?
We'll take a look at the memorandum.
The township has the MOU, George.
You don't remember.
Okay.
Feel free to ask about it.
Okay, well, that's the thing, I can't ask any more questions, that would be
When we
fake.
know more, we'll bring it before you, but I think we're somewhat, it looks like maybe we're agreed to go forward and see what's involved.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is that motion clear enough for you, what we're doing? Okay. We're making a motion.
Yeah.
To, agree to investigate the cost for doing solar,
Okay.
this engineering group.
And can we just get the okay to bring in this company if everything seems good? Assuming there's no costs. Yeah. To the township under the memorandum of understanding, they're authorizing Tommy to sign it on.
Right, we're not authorizing you to give them $20,000 down payment to do it, no.
Yeah. Let me tell you
Bring them
precisely
in.
how the PA Solar Center works. There's also, Philadelphia has solar association as well. But they will send us out to bidders, request bids. And they will ask the bidders if they would be able to give a donation to them from their bid. Because normally when you bid for solar, in the solar world, probably 40% of your budget is spent on trying to get sales.
Okay, so what do you think that they're gonna want for a donation for us to get our?
Nothing from us.
Nothing from us.
Okay.
It's from the contract.
Okay, so they're working their own side deals, got it.
Yeah, you know, so.
But
Because,
we're still at what we said. 0 from us or an evaluation.
yeah,
Okay,
do you want me to resend the whole board the MOU?
No, send it to Tommy.
yeah, he'll
Done.
send it to us.
Hey, Tommy?
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thanks for looking into these opportunities. We appreciate it.
Find a grant, we'll write it.
Yeah.
Happy to do it.
Tommy's good at grant writing too. Okay, so, next up would be payroll and expenditures, and because I hate to be mean to you guys, I'll read this if you want.
Thank you.
A motion to ratify payroll dated September 24 for the pay period September 8 to September 21 in the amount of $67,371.93. Payroll dated October 8 for the pay period September 22 to October 5 in the amount of $68,867.67. General fund list of bills dated August 19 to September 15 in the amount of $296,091.07. Open space fund list of bills dated August 19 to September 15 in the amount of $11,369.61. Capital Road Fund list of bills dated August 19 to September 15 in the amount of $17,957.50. Capital Project Fund list of bills dated August 19 to September 15 in the amount of $3,739.85. Capital Equipment Funds list of bills dated August 19 to September 15 in the amount of $63.38, and Escrow Fund list of bills dated August 19 to September 15 in the amount of $50,642.70.
I make a motion to approve the expenditures.
And I'll second it.
Okay, and is there any comments on that at all, Tommy? It's just, it is what it is, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. That brings us to everyone's favorite public comment for non-agenda items. So if there's anything that was not discussed tonight, this is your opportunity.
I just want to follow up on our discussion last meeting or our question last meeting about the conditional use in butterscotch. And I guess if I understand correctly, the township's position is that there's no parking plan required until after the zoning hearing board decides the current issue at hand.
Well, the conditional use decision allows the property owner to go to the zoning hearing board and get relief if they want to do that. And if they're doing that, they can then determine what they need to have with respect to parking. So it makes sense for them to go to the zoning hearing board to get relief or not. Zoning hearing board could turn them down, but to do that, and then with that, then to present.
Okay, yeah, and I'm not gonna rehash what I said at the last meeting, but it seems like parking and outdoor seating are orthogonal issues and not related, since they already expressed no desire. They said at the last zoning hearing board meeting, they were not gonna change the parking lots. So there's no interaction between the two, but you decided that you're gonna allow them to go through with the zoning hearing before you're going to expect them to supply a parking plan that complies with the conditional use order. Is that correct?
They're going to be providing, they have to provide at some point a parking plan.
At some point is really
Whether
the
it's
key.
parking on-site or parking off-site or combination.
Yes, I agree. The at some point is really what the nature of my question is. And I guess what I want to know is your position that at some point is after the zoning hearing board
Yes,
makes a decision. So
Yes.
this current schedule is October 29th with an alternate or a continuation date of November 18th. Decision has a 45-day window, is that?
yes,
So now we're getting to 2026.
Right.
How soon after January 1, 2026 would be reasonable for the township to expect a parking plan? I mean, I was told it takes months last summer to design a parking plan.
well,
That's what I thought too.
applicant, look, we don't control the applicant.
That's right. But you control the expectation
Right,
for
but the
what,
applicant went through a process by which they hire an engineer to determine what their parking could look like. And came to a conclusion after all of that, apparently it's too expensive for them to make any changes.
I understand. I'm aware of that.
That's not on the township.
I'm aware of that.
Okay, so now the applicants go through whatever zoning they think they want to get. And we'll let them follow that process, and then they need to come back shortly thereafter with.
Shortly thereafter.
Well, look, I can't put days on it. I can't tell you exactly when the zoning hearing board's gonna complete their process.
No, I gave you a worst case number.
Okay, but shortly thereafter, we expect the applicant then to come forward with whatever their parking plan is going to be, show us how many parking spaces they're going to have, legitimate parking spaces that fill the requirements of the township code and the conditional use decision. And with that in hand, then we're going to know how many seats they're allowed to have. Parking's going to determine seats. And with that.
Yeah, I guess I totally agree with everything you said, except that
I've seen the zoning application, but I think they're going for the outdoor seating.
that's it.
They may-
They dropped all the parking things, and at the last
Okay,
meeting, they said they're not going to change the parking lots. They decided not to go through the expense of changing it.
They're reducing seating.
but let me just say this, that their parking lot is what it is, but they need to conform at least to show us legitimately how many spots are there. Because you remember the test.
I totally
Some people thought
remember.
20 or
Well,
it said 20, some people said.
some
16.
people, yeah.
Well, there needs to be legitimate sized parking spaces that people can get into and out of. So that we have a number. We have a number, where they're gonna use the Todd lot, we have a number there, they're gonna use.
I'm totally agree with everything you said. I just don't see that, as I said in the last meeting, outdoor seating has no basis on the parking plan.
Well, we'd rather do this orderly,
Mhm.
let them get through this process.
Okay, and the reason I keep bringing this up now is, a lot of time, effort, money went into hearings that went on. This process started really in 23 when the zoning officer was notified about this. So over 2 years ago now. And
Has there been any enforcement out on the street? Last meeting, I remember complaints that they were still parking on the street. And have we had enforcement? Police have been there.
There's been no parking on the street as far as
Police.
I'm concerned. I've gone by there. I've made it a point to change my route to go by there because somebody was complaining about them parking on the street, parking on the asphalt. I've never seen any of that, so. You take
Do we
that.
know if people are parking at the Toms in the schoolhouse or?
That's hard to say.
I know that
That's
they're
really not-
making a safe crossing, so like that would
Right.
justify parking there.
So they need to come in with their.
well, I guess, look at it.
People in a way.
I want them to get something there that works, and
Right.
what's there now doesn't work. So, and there's a process we've been going through, but with no light at the end of the tunnel, I feel like
Well,
we're
I
getting
think-
stalled.
Big light at the end of the tunnel. I understand it's not as fast as you would like it to be. But I think that there is light at the end of the tunnel. The township's not gonna wait forever. We've given them the ability to do what they think they need to do, and they were going to have it engineered and come up with
Yes,
a plan.
yes, and I saw that was submitted.
Dollar signs were too high, and so now they're coming back and changing that. So they're gonna be limited in the number of cars they're gonna be able to park there.
As they are now
Now,
physically.
and that's going to affect the number of seating
Mhm.
that they can have, and that's where we have to then enforce,
Okay,
okay?
all right, thank you.
Sure.
Good evening, Dave White, Birch Run Road. And I want to piggyback a couple things that George has said. And Bernie, I have photographs from the past week of cars parked where you've been driving by, the tires of which are touching Flowing Springs Road. They're in contact with the asphalt on Flowing Springs Road. So I have the photographs right here. That's not why I came here, though. I've got a theory about a perception that many of us have. George and I are 2 of 6 people who have rehired Kimberly Venzi. And many of us have the opinion that the Board of Supervisors, but actually more Tommy and the enforcement of zoning, has been very friendly to these applicants, very kind. And I've got a theory of why, and I'd like to share it with you. Francis and Nui, who I have great respect for. Francis has been running the cafe for almost 25 years, Nui about 9. Have actually created businesses that people come from Philadelphia to enjoy. They've created magnets, destination businesses that people come from far and wide in a similar way that people go to St. Peter's. Because we have a beautiful township. People have heard that this bakery is amazing. People have heard the cafe is amazing. I think that our culture has elevated professional chefs, particularly successful chefs, and has elevated the draw of a yummy bakery to a point where we're all a little blinded by what's really going on here, which is that the fragile historic nature of Bertrandville has been threatened. And you guys have heard, and George has highlighted, the amount of time that this has been under discussion is extensive. Dave makes a good point. Things move slowly. I get that. But here's what I'd like to ask you to do. And I'm going to read actually a statement from our attorney that is also on Tommy's computer because he received it recently, but I want it to be public record. So Kimberly Venzi writes, I find it entirely unreasonable that a variance application is being entertained by the zoning hearing board when the conditions of the conditional use approval, which you all created, there's 7 of them, have not yet been met. It would be equally unreasonable for the zoning hearing board to grant variances to a property that is currently non-compliant with zoning, which is exactly what this property is, because not complying with the conditions of an approval, which you gave them, not complying. And this is what I'm hearing George ask you all about, which is why 7 months later were the conditions that you laid out, why are they not being enforced? And I hear opinions of why they're not being enforced, but here's what I'd like you to do is when you have the appropriate time to talk with Dave and get his opinion, if you haven't already, whether you agree, Dave, with Ms. Venzi's opinion.
I can tell you now, I disagree. Go ahead.
You disagree. Fair enough. And she adds at the end, there is case law on this topic. Now, her specialty is zoning. That's why she was hired initially, and that's why we rehired her. And I look forward to the 29th, but I want the record to show that there is a clear disagreement about the step-by-step process and the order that's taking place here. And as I said last time we met, I think there's a defiance here, and I don't understand why everyone's being so nice to these folks. I don't understand, though I love the bakery and the cafe too, and I'm guessing some of you are their customers as well. So I get it why a popular restaurant and cafe is being treated with what appears to be kid gloves. That's how I see it, and many people do. I wanted to go on the record about that. Thank you.
I think I've been there since this whole thing started. On
Well,
purpose.
On purpose, it's, you know. Can we wrap it up? I've never been there.
It's fine.
Never mind.
Okay. Yeah, anyone else have any comments? I'd like it to be over too. Does anyone else have any comments? You good?
Move to adjourn?
All right. To adjourn. Thank you very much.
Look out now, John.